Hi and welcome back once again to Back to Primal. Today this is a bit of a spur of the moment blog, and it's actually on the topic of these shoes, the Vibram Fivefingers, which you'll know I've spoken about before. Now, on the old interweb at the moment, on Facebook and so on, there seems to be a bit of a hot topic based on the recent settlement of Vibram Fivefingers in court on the claims of their shoes to be beneficial for your health. Now this was, I believe, from the articles I've read, so this may not be accurate, but I hope it's accurate. I believe that they settled because it was said that they couldn't prove that there was health benefits in research or any research to back up their claims. This may be the case, and this may well be the reason why they settled. However, a lot of what seems to be saying is the company lied to us, this, that and the other, da 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 da. Well, first of all, I'd put my point out there that I'd like to see the research that says that normal orthodox shoes don't cause a weakening of the foot over time. And this is kind of like the counter argument for the normal shoe as opposed to the five-finger shoe. Now, it may be true that there may be no research supporting the five fingers in terms of scientific study, but as I say, I'd like to see the research done over a long period of time to say that a shoe wouldn't cause weakening of your foot. My position or my argument is this: just imagine taking your hand and sticking that in a firm, rigid, shoe-like or mitten-like contraption, and wearing that for 8 hours a day, every day, trying to use your hand properly. Now I ask you the question, do you think your hand will remain strong, or will it be stronger being able to be moved and used effectively as it should be? Now what we do know from study is that if we push the body, if we push the ligamentous structures, if we push bone through exercise, weight-bearing exercise, and if we push muscle, it generally gets stronger. So what we mean by that is the ligaments become stronger as we load them. They will actually lay down more tissue. We know that muscle becomes stronger, we get more powerful, we're able to create more force. And we know that bone density definitely increases, because one of the main things we say, for instance, for people who are osteoporotic is do exercise, load-bearing exercise. We know if people do exercise with a good diet, which is important as well, that generally their peak bone mass will be higher at the point when they reach their peak bone mass, which will tend to decrease the onset of osteoporosis. Obviously there's always exceptions to the rule, but that's a general rule. So if we're putting our shoe in a contraption, like I was saying there for we're putting our foot in a contraption like a shoe, which is what I was saying here for the hand with a mitten, or any kind of contraption that restricts its use, are we going to waste away the effect of that part of the body? Now think about if you break your arm and you put it in a cast. What happens when you take it off the cast, when you haven't been using it? The muscles have wasted. So why won't our feet have wasted wearing a normal orthodox shoe? It's a question. I'm not telling you that's definitely an answer or anything like that. I'm just posing the thought and the question. Now for me personally, I do specifically wear about 99% of the time Vibram Fivefingers. Why? Because I've been doing it for 3.5 years and I've noticed the benefit on myself. I also have a number of clients that I train who have also decided to transition safely, which is the key. It's not about just putting them on and going out for a run. It's about realising that your foot may have been weakened over time and that you want to rebuild the strength in the foot, the bone density, the ligament strength and the functionality of the lower limb. And it would be silly to expect to be able to go out straight away and have a health benefit. And I don't know if I wasn't privy to the argument or so on. As I say, I'm just putting my point across. If someone's going to put the shoe on and say, oh, I want it to clear up all my health issues, well, that's, in my opinion, kind of silly, because it's a part of a holistic, functional lifestyle. So you're going to have to give it time. You're going to have to eat well. You're going to have to take time for the body to adapt. Now, if you don't do those things, don't expect a health response from it. I would expect some response. Believe me, I transitioned purely by walking initially. I didn't do any running. That took time, over about 1 to 2 years. I slowly increased and increased and increased, and now I can actually go and run no problem wearing Vibrams. So I think my point here is, do your own research. Don't take things as standard or all the time. Also, I would say look a little bit deeper into the arguments. because a lot of people now are going, oh, it's all rubbish, they don't work, so on, so on, so on. For me, I personally think shoes are rubbish, and that's not being liable, that's my opinion, and that's why I wear these shoes. So again, with anything like this, it's an argument. There'll be people on each side of the argument, and I think as long as you have a reason for sitting on your side of the argument or of the fence, and that's fine. And many of my clients don't wear Vibrams. I even tell many of my clients not to start wearing them. Maybe they're of an older age group. Maybe they've had too many injuries in the past. Maybe there's issues with their foot that they're just not what I would consider as the appropriate client for it. But that's my job as a medical professional when people come to me. In the same way that if you go to someone and they say your shoes aren't right, they're going to tell you to buy new shoes. We all know heels are bad for the foot. So, surely should there not be some kind of warning on heels? Because everyone knows they make their foot feel bad. Everyone knows it can shorten musculature and create muscle imbalance. And you only have to see the position of the foot and the metatarsals being jammed into the floor. Now, could I go back and take someone to court for that? No, because they're not claiming to be beneficial to health. So I believe this is what the argument is. Again, I'm just standing here, or sitting here I should say, posing a question. But that's where I stand on it. This could be I suppose one that's could be a good discussion. As I say, if you came to me and asked my opinion, it would be very specific to your own individual need. But I do say, be careful when you're reading a lot of the articles, and this goes for any topic. Do your own research. There are always ways in which you can pose an argument or pose a question. And that's kind of, I believe, what's happening when you go to court. You've got someone arguing one point, you've got someone else arguing another. And basically, if someone is able to gather more information to argue their point more, then you're forced to settle. And I would suggest that's probably what's happened, although, again, wasn't privy to it, so I can't comment. And that would just be an assumption, nothing more than that. So I don't say too much because I'm not saying that any decision was right or wrong. I'm just saying let's have a discussion on it and maybe ask people who have tried them and people who haven't and see what's said. Just because something is said in court doesn't mean, in this sense, doesn't mean you have to make that decision yourself. Well, I'm certainly not going to stop wearing them. But yeah, I just felt it was a topic that I wanted to put my opinion out there on. I obviously stand by what the courts say. They said that they can't make the health claims, hence people couldn't claim their money back if they felt there was this issue. I personally wouldn't claim a cent back, and I've got 13 pairs, and that's because I myself and many of my clients have had that benefit. So think about it. Don't take everything as face value, and that goes for all topics. Learn for yourself, educate yourself, and see how things go. And if anyone wants to have a discussion or ask any questions, then by all means do. Look after yourselves, be sensible, be knowledgeable, make your own decisions, and be primal. Take care.